live. Yeah, yeah, we going live. Hey, hey, we going live. Yeah, yeah, we going live. Yeah, yeah, we going. Yeah, yeah, we going. Yeah, 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 we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line. Hey.
All right. So the story of Tyler Smith.
Yeah.
He's a 5-star recruit who is choosing to play with overtime elite instead of college, which we've seen a lot of recruits make this decision.
Yes.
But it will make him ineligible for the NBA until 2024.
Yeah.
Is this smart? And do we see this becoming a trend?
Well, you just answered the last question.
Huh?
You answered the last question.
Oh, yeah.
We see this a lot.
We see this a lot now. We saw this with...
it is becoming a trend.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Well, so we saw this with LaMelo Ball. We saw this with Brandon Jennings. And so it's kind of been a trend. And I'm not understanding, like, the rationale of him not being eligible until 2024.
Maybe because he would have had to have been... Did they change it where you got to be? Well, no, because you could have just been... You could still just go 1 year and come out and go to the NBA, right?
Yeah, you have to be one.
Maybe this is their way of trying to punish,
dissuade,
make it punitive that you're choosing not to go to college. Like, okay. I don't know.
No, I was just gonna say, like, what? This brings that whole argument that the NCAA and the NBA are in cahoots full circle, because Kwame Brown has been beating his drum about this for months.
Yeah.
About how the NBA or the NCAA, with the help of the NBA, were trying to dissuade even the top ranked high school players from going straight into the NBA and having to go to college for 1 year, which makes more money for the NCAA.
NCAA, yeah.
As if they need any more. But I digress.
But I will say this, the one thing this does to me that's at least beneficial for some of these kids who might be extremely athletically talented, but maybe not academically strong, is gives them an opportunity to still at least go play pro ball. Like, your career isn't over if, you know what I mean? If you just can't cut it when it comes to, standardized testing to be able to pass the SAT or get a good enough score in the ACT to go to college, or, even when you get there, well, we just heard, they don't necessarily have to be it depends on the school they go to, with how much work they really have to do on their own, right? But because most of the time, when they go in and they know they're going to go to the NBA, they're not really paying attention to school anyway. It's just, I'm going through the motions, which goes to your point that it got to be about money, because, what's the point if you're not going to ensure that that student is actually being a student for that year? Then what is the point of them going to college for that year? Is it that you're hoping that they'll magically get there and be like, oh, school is exactly what I wanted all along, and the NBA can wait? Because that makes no sense. It's not what they're going to say. Even if they go back after years of being in the NBA, they might think about it later, but at the time, I'm 18.
Yeah.
Do I want to do school? I just finished 12 years of this.
Yeah.
So the logic makes no sense. But so I in that respect, I'm really excited about this avenue. I hate that they're being punitive. They're saying you won't be able to come to the NBA until 2024. But hey, go over there. That's okay, because like you just mentioned, some of the people who took this route, when they made it to the NBA, they were much, much more ready to take on a role as a star.
Yeah.
Than somebody who, that maturation process was much, they were already much older, in a better space than, say, like, even though he's done well, Zion Williamson, you know what I'm saying? Like, had he either stayed in school or went that path and then came to the NBA, beasting.
Yeah.
See, your learning curve was slower when you go from that 1 year into the NBA versus going to do that overseas or wherever you're gonna play,
Right.
and then come back. So I mean, for those reasons, I do think it's smart.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's smart too. I think that it's unfortunate that the NBA and the NCAA have kind of, come together to kind of take this stance or conspire to keep these kids out of, from making money. Like,
Yeah.
Thankfully, NIL is in full effect.
Really, now y'all don't have a leg to stand on.
Exactly. And so, but they'll still be making money for the NCAA, and it's unfortunate that what they're trying to do is steer people towards the NCAA because of this handshake deal they have, so that they can go to college right after and, kind of stop players who may be thinking of another route or who may decide to go another route, stop them from coming to the league when they're supposed to come. Yeah. It's unfortunate.
No, I mean, but the next step in this I see is those players who are making those choices to take the alternative routes, then started to push to have their access granted earlier. Mm-hmm. That'll be the next step. Like, they'll go do what they do, but then they're gonna be like, I don't want to wait to 2024, and I'm maybe this got to go to court, or that kind of thing. Like, to start to push their rights, to say, hey, look, like, I'm still doing all the developmental, because it's basketball in the long run, and if I'm doing everything I need to do to develop as whatever logic that the NCAA or the NBA is using to say, go for that year, because it can't be about school. So it's got to, I mean, we know money is at the bottom of it, but it's whatever logic, whatever they're trying to use as the logic, your body, you need to develop more as a man, you need to get that, whatever that is. If I've gone and I've done that in a different way, then what's the difference?
Exactly.
So I see that being the next fight. Like, after the, now they kind of got this NIL out of the way. That's the next fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Now, I know this one troubled you, because I know how you feel about DeShaun Watson. So it looks like the NFL Network, in trying to, I don't even know what I would say they were. What they were trying to do was, I guess, maybe cover themselves in the event that, there is something that comes out about DeShaun Watson. But what was disheartening about this is that, why would you need to mention anything off of the field?
You know how when we're talking about bests and top fives, and one of the things, what am I always saying? What is the criteria?
What's the criteria? Yeah.
What are we talking about? So this was NFL Network's top 100 players of 2020. So what did he do on the field in the year 2020? What he did where? On the field.
On the field. Mm-hmm.
In the year 2020.
Right.
So for them to have to almost do this disclaimer, preface, what is all of that have to? What did he do on the field? Mm-hmm. Why is he number 18 on the list? Because he's an awesome quarterback.
Right.
Period. If we talking about people and their character, then okay.
Right.
But that's not. We're talking about what he does with his feet and his arm. That's it.
Right.
Then that's all we need to talk about.
And allegations don't mean guilt. So,
And you only perpetuate this thought, and that'll forever follow him now, because this is forever out there in the in the universe now. Right. Somebody 20 years from now could be watching archives of what happened in 2020, and this is going to be a part of his story. For what?
Right.
Because if I'm just saying, if he's found, not guilty of all of this stuff, then y'all got to eat crow. Why? Why was that a part of it?
The unfortunate part about this is that nobody's going to eat crow. Everybody's going to go back to life the way it was. Like, nothing to see here. And that's going to forever be associated with his name.
Absolutely.
And that's so unfair.
It pisses me off.
It's so unfair.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if it's found to be true, then it needs to be attached to your name.
Oh, absolutely.
If it's not found to be true, then you have scarred somebody.
Right.
And now you're perpetuating the scar by making that a part. What did the man do on the field in 2020?
Balled out.
That's all we need to be talking about.
Yeah.
Period. I'm sorry. You can tell I'm pissed about that. I was 38 hot. Like, what is this?
I already knew as soon as we got to this, I was like, oh yeah.
I was so mad. I was like, wait a minute. Why is this even? Why is this? What did you do for everybody? And so for him, they had him talk. Everybody else had other people talk about them. Why? So now you don't want nobody else having given him any credit for what he did on the field? What? It looked awkward.
I'm sure, and I don't know this for certain, but I'm almost certain that they probably recorded a whole bunch of stuff and then got a knock on the door from some
executive
and said, hey, we need to be careful about how we do this.
Okay. So here's
I'm not
my
saying
thing.
that that's right.
It's not, because I guess my thing is, nobody puts asterisks or makes disparity when it comes. I just keep bringing him up because it's like it never happened to anybody else. And I'm a Steelers girl, so it's not that I'm against him. But no, there's nothing that gets prefaced when you talk about Ben Roethlisberger. And even, let's just say, we're going to talk about Ray Lewis.
Oh, nah. Ray Lewis gets it.
He gets it?
Yeah. And look, I know you probably wouldn't have seen this because you're not a big fan of D.L. Hughley, which, you know, he's one of my favorite comedians.
Yeah.
He did in one of his stand-ups, he was talking about Ray Lewis and about Colin Kaepernick taking a knee. He told Ray Lewis, you're pretty judgmental for a murderer. Now, we don't know what happened. I have absolutely no idea what happened. And so I just am repeating a joke by a famous comedian. But I did so to say that Ray Lewis still gets
the tag is still there. Yeah. I mean, but it's just weird. But I guess I say that in the terms of if they did a top 100 linebackers thing, I don't believe they're going to, that's not going to be a part of what's said about him. Even OJ, if they did, I don't believe that's going to be a part of what you put in it. Stop. To talk about, I don't believe they're going to include that, even if they let him in at all, right? They're not going to include
Steph, you know they're going to include that. You hear what he said a couple weeks ago?
Oh, what did he say?
That he is
scared.
Lord.
Shut up, OJ.
He is scared to go to LA because he doesn't know where the killer is. I heard somebody tell him, well,
he did not say that.
Yes.
Oh God.
I heard somebody tell him, well, you'll be fine as long as you don't look in the mirror.
Yo, we all off over here. Oh my God. Oh, OJ, baby. Yeah, no, that's not what he said.
Yeah. So no, that's gonna forever live with OJ. That's gonna forever live with him. You do a top 50 greatest running backs, and I guarantee you
they're not gonna do. I don't believe they'll put it in there. I don't believe they'll put it in there.
They'll put it in there.
You think?
And I don't want to make light of it because I was about to start making jokes, but two people lost their lives, and so
yeah.
You know, condolences to your family. I know it's been a long time.
But it doesn't matter.
Not long enough.
No.
Grief never leaves.
No.
But yeah, no, he'd get that because that was such a cultural event. It'd be hard to do one like that and not mention that at all.
And I still disagree with it. If we talking about what he did on the field, we're not talking about the glove, the Bronco, none of that. We're talking about what he did on the field. And that just needs to be where it's left.
See, you had to mention that glove. You almost
I'm not being funny. I'm just saying, like, those things. Anyway, we digress again.
If the glove don't fit, you must have quit.
That's all that's in my head. You know, that is all I've been thinking about in my head.
And that was good until you said that. Until you mentioned the glove.
Yo, we so sorry.
All right. I'm sorry, guys. We sorry.
Anyway. All right.
Yeah,
so,
I don't like
but this isn't fair to him. He's not gone through any trial. This is ridiculous, and it was unfair. But anyway, all right.
Let's just move on.
Oh God.
Now put the cameras on me, 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 put the cameras on me.